Boom, recording. Boom, recording. Movies. Movie reviews. Nosferatu. Alright, I'm on Letterboxd. My name's the same on Letterboxd as it is on YouTube, so I don't feel like I'm really doxing myself or anything. Yeah, I mean, this is what, 2024 now. But I wanted to make a point about this movie. I wanted to make a point, not about this movie. If you like this movie, you're still a cool person, and you're not like a bad person for liking the movie. But I wanted to make a point. And I could read you my review if you want to, like, my satirical review, kind of like mocking what I'm going to try to point out. But let me point something out to you. More reviews. Okay. So we'll go to a 5-star rating. People think this is a brilliant, perfect movie. All right. Let's see here. And what I'm looking for is, it's going to be along the lines of like epic gothic fairy tale gothic epic gothic. That's like what, and they think by saying gothic a million times is going to make the movie good or something. And I know it is like a gothic, right? It is a gothic. So like people are getting, what, they can't use the word gothic now, you know? Let's see here. Shadow of the Hand moving across the city. Willem Dafoe, Isaac Newton, name drop the overall symmetry every time a door window open. Shot of Nick walking down the pathway at night. Aaron TJ blood throw up on coffin moment. General sound of breathing throughout the movie. Overall costume department slay, and so much more. I just really loved it, and I'll probs watch it another 2 times this month. Go off, Robert Eggers. The visit was very good. See, now I'm just interested in this. Okay, they only give 5 stars, basically. Okay. Just movies they really liked. I feel like it's fair enough. I needed some kind of, control group. I needed to compare what they thought was good and bad to really, like, kind of dig into that. But, anyway. Let's see. Eggers is on his usual king shit. I love the use of shadows and lighting. The shadows and lighting were so good. The shadows and lighting. That's something you're going to see a lot, too. Oh my god, the shots were so good. It was filmed so well. The budget was good, and it was filmed so well. Stylistically, artistically, the contrast of the light and the dark, it was so well balanced. The filming. Filming doesn't make a movie good. It's part of what makes a movie good. Some of these I just can't even bother with. Let's just go to the main ones, right? So, review activity. Everyone, 5-star. Where is, like, by most likes or something? Let's go to newest 5-star reviews. One of the most visually stunning and captivating films I've ever seen. I don't know how many movies you've seen. Thomas and Ellen really had a freak off so absurd it nearly killed them both. All right, maybe. I don't know. This review may contain spoilers. I can't read that. Upon rewatching, I wish Ellen's character would have been branched out more. She should have been more of a focal point rather than the other characters. Her sacrificing herself is heartbreaking. She deserved happiness. Hear me out. Hear what out? I will leave you 3 nights. Tonight was the first. Tonight you denied yourself. What? Just quoting it or something. Professor, another language. See, people who are Spanish and German and shit like this movie, I guess. Now I gotta have a talk with my sleep paralysis demon. The clothes, honestly, the clothes alone deserve their own discussion. And that gothic, elegant, see, that's what I'm saying. Wasn't I saying this? First page, okay. And that gothic, elegant, dark atmosphere. I'm in love with the atmosphere and the filming shots and the gothic. I'm in love with every single thing in this film. Fair enough. I'm not trying to take that away from you. I'm just trying to make a point about the shots are so good. It's gothic. The makeup and costumes in this movie are fantastic. I love Bill, and I didn't even know he was playing in this movie because of how much the makeup actually changes him. Seeing him act alongside Lily and William was beautiful. Lily acting on her own was good. So upsetting that she didn't win anything for this role. The aesthetic of this movie is so gothic and perfect. It's so gothic. It's so gothic and perfect. It's so goth. My gothic heart. See, another one, dude. Another one. This isn't rehearsed. I didn't look at this beforehand. I'm just like, I know that gothic is going to come up a lot. It's going to come up a lot. That's what people like. It's gothic. And I wanted to make another point. I'm not just trying to shit on specific people saying this, or this movie in particular, but there's like, it's like pattern recognition. You know, the whole, I mean, IQ is cringe as hell to even talk about now, but like, I'm just talking about the subject of pattern recognition when you see movies and people, like, basically coping that a movie's good that's not really that good, and they're gonna keep like basically saying the same things over and over. And right, see, it's ridiculous, right? Like, what do I like about swimming? The water. Oh my god, water keeps coming up, right? Like, it can be a ridiculous point, obviously, that I'm making. I mean, you can criticize what I'm saying by saying, yes, it is kind of a gothic movie, so the word gothic comes up, doesn't it? It's this the like over romanticized like fairy tale-esqueness of it, like, really gets to some people. I understand people say this boring. Well, it was boring. It's all about vibes and the story. Well, the vibes were boring. Not all horror should necessarily consist. It wasn't a horror. Really, it was not a horror. It was a psychosexual drama. Like, it was a psychosexual drama. Like, it was a movie that you bring like, a woman, with no offense, and I'm not trying to make it a sexist thing, but it's a movie that, like, a woman would bring a guy on to, like, a date and then, like, sort of get, like, horny while watching it, because it was, like, a psychosexual thriller drama that had, yes, very, very dark and like, kind of gruesome undertones, but it really wasn't, like, a horror, in my opinion. Disgusting and beautiful in between. Well, yeah, that's true enough, right? I mean, I'm not trying to absolutely shit on these people, everyone's reviews, but please, this is a cry for help, and I'm not answering. I don't even know what that means. What a lovely film. Made beautifully. Lots of great actors in it. Wagers did it. I mean, that's why it's made beautifully. It has a decent enough budget. It's shot decently, and it has good actors. Nothing really commenting about, like, the story or the pacing or, like, I don't know, the character development. It's just, it had good actors. It's fine. Wagers did a great job. Rewatch this to get in the right mood for watching Frankenstein. See, this movie gets you in the mood. Wasn't I just saying that? The right mood. I know that's not the context, right? Like, exactly. I'm kind of making a joke. But it gets in the right mood. Gets me in the mood, man. The psychosexual thriller. I don't know. This is it. This is a league of its own. I don't think I've seen a film yet that does everything that's perfect. The performance from everyone is just completely... I'm done with this movie, honestly. Does it say gothic anywhere in this shit? I almost want to just page search. Maybe that was a really good review, I'll be honest. Maybe that guy really knew what he was talking about and it was a good review. I have no idea. I am an appetite. Cool review. Huge moment for deranged women with a deep-rooted omen hanging over them whose enormity of their desire disgusts them. Yeah, I mean, see, this is like witchy. It's witchy sounding. It's pagan, whatever-ish sounding. Like, yeah, like black-haired girl in the Avatar. Right? I'm not trying to call people out specifically. Like, if you see this video, my audience is what, 2 fucking people? But I'm just saying, it's like all caps. But this is actually kind of like truth, right? Like this I respect the truthfulness of this review. Because it's kind of like I'm saying, this movie's for, like, goth girls or with, like, a goth, you know, edge to them to take a date to like, want to make out after or whatever. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's the Christian upbringing. This really hit me in a way that really means something to me. Vibes alone, the vibes. See, the thing is, I can't even fault the vibes thing too much because I definitely like a lot of, I've been watching a lot of, what is this? Skinamarink. You want to talk about a shit movie. This was in my search already or whatever. What did I give this disaster? This fiasco. Oh yeah, 1 star, of course. 2.8. Terrible movie. Terrible movie. I was talking to this movie about somebody at the bar. I was talking to one of my friends, and they loved the idea of it, but it was boring. And it's like, yeah, same. Like, I like the idea of a movie being like a horror dream, like a very what's the word? Like like an atmospheric, trippy horror dream. But the thing is, it didn't do it that well. It would be long shots of like a staticky room of a door, like a dark doorway, and then the static would kind of like slowly creep in and out, and you're kind of thinking like, this is one of those movies where like you're supposed to kind of like, I don't know, you're supposed to be on acid and watch it, basically. If a movie requires me to take acid to watch, it's not good. If it requires me to be half asleep in a dream-like, half REM, whatever, dozing off state, it's not good. If it requires me to be half asleep, it's not good. So, like, I get the, like, idea of, like, you're seeing things in the static that really aren't even there, that the director, and I'm making a joke of this, obviously, the director's too lazy to actually put, like, real things in the movie, right? I mean, there's creepy voices. This movie could have been 25 minutes short. It was way too long. And you could make the argument, but it's supposed to be really atmospheric and like a vibe and suck you in and da-da-da-da. Okay, a movie's point shouldn't be to put me to sleep and put me in this trance. There's movies that can do that better than this movie. That put you in like a trance in a way, and that's what I was going to talk about with this director. You might not like all his stuff, but this was, in my opinion, fantastic, right? And see, I am being the inverse, and I know I am. I gave this 5 stars personally. This is a 5-star movie. Like Nosferatu, but for men who I guess are kind of interested in psychology. This could definitely be for women too. It's not meant to be a sexist point. It's very like psychology laden, right? With this Beau is Afraid movie, where you're like, I don't even know what's really happening. Like, things are happening to this guy, and you're like, it's obviously some sort of allegorical, like, this isn't literally happening to him. But then even the director's commentary is like, I don't want people to view this like it's entirely allegory and nothing is really happening to the character or whatever. I don't know word for word what he said. But it's cool because it does have this multi-layered, like, this guy is on an adventure. It's actually entertaining. He's doing things. But it's also very artsy, actually. It's 3 hours. But I love just about every minute of it. It almost has like these overlaying chapters, kind of. It's almost like a 3-part epic, in my opinion. And I do think this 3.4, this movie was wildly misunderstood. Deals with trauma, generational trauma, abuse, anxiety. Obviously, the movie's called Beau is Afraid. But the whole thing, I don't want to spoil the movie, and right, I guess I'm not intelligent enough to write a 15-page paper and just relay it to you on this webcam right now. But the thing about this movie is, near the end of like, you're guilty or whatever, and then dealing with the generational trauma and psychological abuse that in a lot of ways it's like gaslighting Beau, and I think partly you're trying to, I think it does, the movie wants you to be like, this is the main character, right? Beau's the main character, and it wants you to sympathize with Beau, but then it also kind of gets in your brain, like in your head, in your brain, see, it sounds dumb, like this movie, for example, too, the same director, where it's like there's really no good guys or bad guys. They're kind of like all bad in a way. They're complex people. And the whole point to this, even Ari Aster, so I never say that right, Ari Aster goes deep, inescapable horrors in Eddington. See, and I love that because Eddington, sorry, this is like, it brings up an article. Let me bring up Eddington actually. So Eddington, this is a video about Ari Aster and his filming. Is this labeled a horror, though? This is because that was one of my first things I said about this movie. After seeing this, is that this was more or less like a psychological horror, but it doesn't come across that way. Genres: comedy, western, crime. See, but in reality, it's kind of a psychological horror because Eddington was about how everyone now, especially now more than ever, is living in their own world. They're kind of like the main character of their own reality, and this is coming straight from Ari Aster. We simply cannot connect with each other, which in my opinion is a very powerful theme that I personally think about a lot. Actually, it is now more than ever. The sense of community is really like degrading. And, it follows Joaquin Phoenix, who I love as an actor. He does a really good job in pretty much everything he's in. He was fantastic in Beau is Afraid. I wasn't really a huge fan of the Joker, but I think he did a good job in it. Joker's a little too edgelord for me. But pretty much everything he's in. There was The Master. I remember that being pretty good. It's been a while since I've seen it. Joaquin Phoenix is usually really good. Oh, there was also, I think the movie was called Her. I think he did a good job in that too. For a movie about him talking to a computer, I thought it was actually pretty, heartfelt and touching and pretty good. But yeah, Eddington, pretty good. I liked Beau is Afraid more, but it's kind of like the point I'm making with it. Is this all coming through? I feel like I'm recording this and it's going to just, the sound's not going to work or something. Eddington was pretty good. It was also kind of depressing. It was kind of a psychological horror, how everyone can't really connect with each other, and you want to view this guy like the main character, but more and more comes out throughout the movie that like he's not really like in a traditional sense, well, at all, right? Like really at all. Like the good guy of the movie. It's flying around and like he's a complex character in a way. He's almost like an anti-hero. Like all these characters are like anti-hero. They're not, there's no real good guys in the movie. And more comes out that, makes you go, about this guy throughout the movie. And then it hits this weird breaking point where it goes almost completely off the rails where you're like, I don't even know if this is really happening anymore. Like, I don't know if this is like some delusion or like some kind of allegory or something at the end. And that's very fitting, like Beau is Afraid. See, I forget how to spell Beau. Beau is Afraid was kind of like that too. I mean, right off the bat, Beau is Afraid is kind of like that. More like he's living in this apartment. I don't want to spoil the whole movie, but because I thought it was really good and it's worth a watch. And I think you should go into it not reading too much about it, to be honest. I think you should just see it and like experience it. This is one of those movies like, do you want like a cinematic experience? Do you want like a gothic, epic, cinematic masterpiece experience? Like, I'm sorry, maybe I'm biased. Maybe this is like the dude version of Nosferatu or something, but like this touches on real themes. Like, I guess Nosferatu, it's unfair for me to say Nosferatu doesn't touch on real themes, but like it touches on real themes, in my opinion, that are, I guess, like better to think about in a way. Like, I don't know, man. If somebody could tell me the Nosferatu themes, maybe again, it's been a little bit since I've seen that one. Beau is Afraid I saw recently, and I just thought it was so good. And I really liked the end with the basically gaslighting Beau that like he's the guilty one, he's the guilty because of this and this, and in his childhood as a kid he did this thing, and everything was for him his whole life with his mom or whatever. And there's different types of abuse, right, that affect people, and then it's kind of like, I mean, the SJW terms of like victim blaming, like this is kind of like, yeah, the gaslighting victim blaming, like the movie, and you can say this guy never really grew up or whatever, and he's very codependent. He has a hard time making decisions. But see, oftentimes in psychology, that's what my degree is in, and it's actually one of my interests in life in general, like philosophy and psychology. That does typically, at least statistically, get people to, be more indecisive and act like Beau, basically, the character. So, he's just constantly apologizing. Things are happening to him, essentially. He's like an observer of the world. Things are happening to him. And I don't know. It's like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, Let me bring something. Let's bring up something Cronenberg-esque. So The Substance, see, this was a divisive movie. Pretty divisive. It's just middle of the road for me. 3.8. I think it's a little overrated. The reviews, this is going to be Cronenberg-esque. It's so Cronenberg-esque. I say Cronenberg. It's good because it's Cronenberg-esque. It's there we go. Boom. Oh wait, that's my review. Yeah, this is my satirical review. All right. I don't think it's satirical, actually. Some of my reviews are kind of satirical. It's AI generated TikTok video horror movie. I guess you can make the argument. You can make the argument that it tries to do that, right? So like, there's scenes where it's like ding, and it like zooms in her face, and everything's like high contrast, and it shows her butt. I don't want to say flop because it's a nice butt, right? But like bounce up, her butt bounces up, and the camera zooms in, and she's like advertising like a soda or whatever. So it did kind of go for that, right? I understand, but the Cronenberg-esque body horror, you slap this on it, right? Certain horror movie audiences will immediately. I might as well just read my review. They are going to immediately want to like it because it's body horror. It's Cronenberg-esque. It's something different. It's gross. It's gross. She climbs out of her back, as you can see. It's not no real spoilers. I mean, you see her back stitched up. Her other half, her younger self or whatever, which is like, and it does have themes that are interesting. Like, it does have philosophic themes that are interesting about that. But the characters are so wooden. I'm not even reading this, but that's probably what I said is, let's see, the substance was a bright neon green. It was kind of like a caricature substance, right? Like, it was very, like, on the nose, like, here's the substance. I swear I can type in a prompt and have AI spit out this movie. So many rehashed ideas for movies lately. The close-up on the guy eating and it being gross. Yes, the close-up on the guy, he's eating, he's a pig. All men are pigs in this movie. But I'd argue it's not necessarily like the all men thing. Pretty much all the characters were pigs in this movie. There's really no one. That's also, in my opinion, kind of why it failed, is because no one was really like that likable. Even the main lady, she was I was sort of sympathetic to her. She was getting old, but then she was destroying herself for this vision of her younger self succeeding again after she had a great career. She had all this money. She had an amazing penthouse, whatever, with a framed picture of herself. And then her company like let her go or because she was getting too old. And it's like, just age great. Like, that's the point is like age gracefully. Just age gracefully. You look good. You look good. You aged out of the bouncing your butt workout game, whatever, and you're rich now. Find another hobby. And instead, she destroys her own life in this Cronenberg-esque body horror movie. Is Hunger that did this, and before, and there was, let's see, it's just been done to death. Okay, we get the rich people eating, or this male Hollywood bureaucrat, fill in the blank, anything other than the common working person type is gross. They are like pigs, all messy and sloppy, ew. Okay, I get it, all the men are brain dead pigs in the movie, ew, totally one-dimensional, no soul or substance at all. And I also didn't care about the woman either, and like the point I was trying to make, she was also kind of same difference, really. They were wooden caricatures of people, basically. Although people do act like this, right? They really become obsessed with fame and glory and money and kind of superficial people. First half better than second. Yeah, I would. By the time there was a blob monster, it's just maybe that's a human psychology thing. As soon as that's the thing about like monster flicks and like body horror is like can be done right. Like I thought Infinity Pool is fantastic. But the whole body horror element was like, see, like, that's why I like the first half. The body horror element was like another person, right? So a person crawled out of her was like her other self, and it was a person. But by the end, she was like this amalgamation, this mutant. And it's like, with a human being psychology, can't really relate to that. Like a mutant, I can't really put that anywhere in my head. I don't know. Similar films. Midsummer was fantastic. Neon Demon was not very good. Smile 2 was okay. Smile 1 and 2 were probably about the same, honestly. It Follows was basically Smile, but better. It Follows was really good. Bring Her Back was just awful. Another body horror, terrible, terrible film. Let's look at that. Let's look at this. Another terrible movie. There are 1.5 stars in here. 3.7. Horribly overrated. Whatever. I'm not trying to bash your opinion if you really liked it. It's fine, but this is what I'm doing, right? I mean, I'm telling you why I think the movie sucked. And it's like, it's hard not to offend people when you're like, the thing you liked is actually not that good. And you can say the same thing about me. Like, Here's movies, I'll put myself on the line. I loved Beau is Afraid. Does that say something about my psychology? I think the character in ways was very relatable. It was a very human, relatable film to maybe some people where like that type of horror, I know it was also comedy, and they had some really hilarious scenes. The Beau is Afraid had some scenes that like I thought I would never see in a movie. Whether or not I've seen them before, or I just never thought that like the paint scene was hilarious in my opinion. Aster does these scenes where it's just brilliantly placed, like I don't know what to even say, like hate speech, but I'm not trying to say like that like in a racist way. Like I don't know. I'm just saying you got to see the movie. Like the paint scene was really funny in my opinion. It just perfectly timed. He has perfectly timed comedy, and he understands like. And I'm not talking about this movie, by the way. I'm not talking about Bring Her Back. This wasn't very good. But the thing about comedy and horror is they are, in some sense, linked more than people think. Because I think really good comedy comes from a true place, but it's exaggerated, right? Or it comes from a true place that is warped. Here's a perfectly logical thing, and this is the same thing with people who can... really good con men almost. Like comedy is almost like a really good con because like good con men can take one point, they can take A and link it to B, and there will be a connection that makes sense there, and then B to C, and there could be like a connection that makes sense there. But when you go from A to D or you know A to Z or whatever, you're like, how did I get this? Is insane. But the premise made so much sense. It was so relatable. It's something like everyone thinks this is a situation people are in. But then it goes from A to Z and it's just completely satirical, over exaggerated. And it's funny because of that. Because of the connections made between A, B, and C. It's funny because there is an actual real link between those things, even though they are skewed and exaggerated and to the point where it's almost like a lie of omission or whatever. But I think comedy actually is a lot of times it is more truthful than like a downright lie of omission or a con by a con artist or something. I think comedy is more truthful. But I don't know what I'm talking about. It's like schizophrenic rambling at this point. I don't know. Bring Her Back. I think basically horror and comedy are linked because let me get to the point I was trying to make. I think good comedy has an element of tension in it usually. And again, it's like the Joker thing. I'm not trying to sound edgy when I'm saying that. I think good comedy has tension in it. It's tension release. And that's what horror does as well, is like tension and like relief. It's like, you hear like the music, and then they like open the cabinet and there's nothing. But as in horror though, then they close it and then they open it and then there's something, right? It's playing with this tension of this up and down, this tension and relief of tension. And comedy does the same thing, where not exactly, but it's the same kind of roller coaster of. And this thing is like da-da-da-da, and then boo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo, and you're connecting A to B to C, and people are going, where are you going with this? And then by the end, there's like this tension release, and you kind of like tend to flip the point in a way, just like horror flips the tension, flips the relief. It's playing with, in a way, someone's feelings in some way, the way that they're, feeling about something, I guess. In a true way, in a relatable human way. Pissing someone else's pants is diabolical. Yeah. See, this is why this is too much narcissism in the movie. This is too much like personality disorder in the movie. Pours piss on someone's pants from a pitcher to gaslight the kid that he pissed his pants. Like she's creating a divide between these two siblings that were adopted. I think their dad died or whatever. And the whole movie, it's just like one note. The whole movie is just like this crazy lady trying to get her daughter back. Sorry, spoilers. Spoilers. It does say bring her back, though. But spoilers, you can, if you really want to see and you don't want to know, now's the time to turn the video off. crazy lady trying to get her daughter back by doing some like demon summon ritual where like she puts a demon in some kid she kidnaps body who's gonna eat the soul, or she's gonna eat the soul, the body of her deceased daughter who she froze or whatever, and then basically shit out the daughter again. The daughter's gonna be alive again. Like that's like the sacrifice or something. Like you have to feed the demon and then it becomes the person or something. It's really stupid. I think she had to kill somebody, or she was trying to put the daughter in the girl's body, the brother's sister or whatever. Yeah, whatever. I mean, body horror. Had the kid. The kid was like getting all bloated. Like, well, it's kind of like when the almost like the like African kids when they were like starving. It was kind of. I mean, it was kind of disturbing. Yeah, it had some disturbing moments. The knife scene with the fruit and the knife. That's all I'll say. Was disturbing. It was memorable, right? It was memorable. But that doesn't make a good movie. And I'm not offended by it. I'm not like this was too graphic. I had to walk out. I mean, I watched the whole scene. Like, there's these movies that try to play on the whole, oh, there's a needle above someone's eye, or like, it was kind of the same difference with this. I'll just say the fruit knife scene was very memorable, but it wasn't a good film because this was just gaslighting the movie. It was just some crazy lady gaslighting this kid the whole movie, and then it had the whole like heroes like, oh, he's died, never, like that kind of like edgy like. You wanted this thing to happen, but it didn't. Like they never like win in the end. And then it has this lady like laying in the pool with her daughter, like that's supposed to be sweet or something. It's like it's not sweet. Like you're like a psycho. Like I don't sympathize with you. I get it. Like yes, and this is a human being, and she is in ways sympathetic, but it's like I don't really I'm not that sympathetic with her. And sorry, I'm just not. I don't get it. And like the movie, it's like, yeah, in the end, like the good guys didn't win. It was boring. The whole thing was just like, I think it was portrayed in the what was it called? It was portrayed in the previews more as like a traditional horror, and it was more like this psychological horror of like, yeah, and it hits too close to home because now more than ever in modern 2025. It's the age of individualism. Everyone's angry, an angry crab in a bucket, poor angry crab in a bucket, insecure person. Narcissism is on the rise. Individuality. I would argue even basically be people becoming like sociopaths now. So this isn't really like, it's just like kind of gross. It was just a gross movie that just makes you feel bad. It's just not like, it's not like a good movie. It doesn't make you think like, wow, that was like deep. It's just like, it's kind of like psychological torture in the worst way. Psychological torture, let me hit two more movies. Psychological torture in a good way, and this does, it actually does reminisce of A Beau is Afraid. So if you liked Beau is Afraid, you liked this one, didn't see Beau is Afraid. Very similar in my opinion. I'd argue, I think Beau is Afraid is probably a little better, but this was also 5 out of 5 for me. Kind of similar themes, this like lonely Midwest. I'm in the Midwest, so this is pretty relatable in my opinion, and that's why this was an awesome psychological, I would say, horror. I don't want to give too much away though. If you haven't seen it, it's very good in my opinion. It's very good going into this not really knowing anything about it, and more like this was like psychological depression horror. Like you want to just like feel depressed, but like not in like a totally disgusting way. Like in like you want to be depressed and like psychologically horrored in like an artsy, like thoughtful way, then watch this movie. If you want to just be kind of like bummed out, then watch like, watch Bring Her Back. There was almost like no point to it basically. And then here we go. Here's the latest one that was a lot of rave reviews. See, and I have friends that I disagreed with in this one. I gave it a 3. The shots were good. The filming was good. This was, who's the director of this again? I forget. Somebody got this movie and they're like, oh man, the director did such a good job. Crew, director, Barbarian. See, this is the thing. Some people really love this guy. Wasn't another one? Weapons, Barbarian. I haven't seen Miss March, Resident Evil. Which one is this? 2026 Resident Evil. Interesting. Any decade. Was this all the movies he made? Was this everything? I was gonna say, this is also another one of those movies. Like, I just didn't get it. Well, why don't I rate it? I didn't rate it on the site. I forget what I gave it. This is like a 2.5 from me. I don't remember exactly what I did on like I got an IMDb as well. First half, pretty good, but then it turns into this. I was gonna hit one more movie, not this one necessarily. I just led a little bit with this director though. Could have been an amazing horror movie. Could have been amazing. Started really good. Started really relatable too. The characters talking, not necessarily that rewatchable, but the guy, without trying to spoil too much, the guy talking to the girl. They get the wires are crossed with this Airbnb. She's going to this Airbnb in this kind of rundown neighborhood. The house is nice enough, but it's obviously kind of a sketchy neighborhood. She tries to get in. The key's like gone, whatever. She tries to figure it out. I think then she knocks on the door. Somebody opens the door, and there's a guy in there, and he's like, oh, sorry. Like, yeah, I also rented the Airbnb on like blah, blah, blah.com or whatever. So then, weird situation. I've even heard the criticism by somebody else who's seen it. Like, oh, I still wouldn't go in that house at all or whatever. Fair enough. If you're a woman, yeah, probably. They say it's unrealistic right off the bat because they wouldn't start sharing this house with this guy. Fair enough, but let's say like plausible deniability, or not. So that's not the wrong word. The suspension of disbelief or whatever. She goes in this house with this guy, rents Airbnb. He's actually pretty normal, and I liked the dialogue with like, oh yeah, they like left this wine, but I didn't really want to open it unless it was in front of you because I feel like if I opened it like not in front of you, then you wouldn't like want to drink any of it with me or whatever. Like, and it's like, okay, that's actually kind of some good dialogue. I think it's good dialogue because that's like relatable. That's something that like you would think as a guy, as like somebody who's trying to, be like considerate to other people, like especially a woman who doesn't know you. It's like it's like pretty weird, and you're just like, yeah, I don't want to come across like I'm trying to drug you or something. So, yeah, it was weird. It was like a 2-part thing, and then I guess spoilers, right? The guy dies, and then Jason Long comes out, and this is the problem with these movies is like they're like ridiculous. And the it's like the Peter Griffin, it insists upon itself thing, and I'm going to bring that up with weapons, is like, that dialogue was like, the best part was like when she's talking to the guy and they're first discovering this basement or whatever. I think the first half was really good. And I'd argue up until even like Jason Long, like, which was, to be fair, it was probably over half the movie I thought was pretty good. And I don't know, it was an okay movie. It was all right. I think people liked it more than I did. Jason Long comes in. He's like a scumbag, basically. It's no real stretch to say he's like a scumbag character. He's likable though as an actor. He has screen presence. Like, I like seeing him on screen. So like I liked his character. Like as in he's an actor and he's playing this character. He did a good job. But his character in the movie, right? Like, I liked his character in the context of his character in the movie. But of course, his character was a scumbag. So, it's just, I think the movie, in a way, and I get the characters are different. This is a different person from the initial guy. The initial guy is being very mindful of these conversations and what he's doing with the wine, and like, it kind of like makes sense. And then Jason Long comes in, and he's like this like joke character, basically, completely. And you want to talk about unrealistic shit like that would never happen. As big of a dumbass scumbag as somebody is, there's this creepy like dungeon under the house, and he's worried about money, right? He has a lawsuit. Some woman is like suing him or whatever, sexual abuse allegations, or like he's a scumbag character. And this girl, she, I don't want to spoil too much, but like, spoilers, don't watch it if you've never seen it. She goes missing, the initial guy goes missing, and Jason Long shows up. It's his Airbnb later on to check on his Airbnb or whatever. He's figuring out his assets or whatever. And he's like, he discovers this dungeon that they discovered previously in the beginning. And instead of being like, wow, that's really weird, I'm going to call the cops, or I'm going to like call multiple people to like come explore this dungeon with, even if it's like not with you or not with you. It seems like one of those things where it's like, he gets excited about the square footage of the dungeon, which is like funny, like, and I'm talking about these jokes with tension and tension release, and it's kind of hypocritical to like not like this one in a way, but in a way it's because this director really insists upon himself, like Peter Griffin insists upon itself. It kind of insists upon itself with the dialogue and like the rule setting of the world, in my opinion. And that's where Weapons went wrong too. This guy, complete cartoon character, he starts measuring the square footage of the dungeon. He's moving by a camera, like a dingy, like a blood print wall, a blood handprint on a wall in a bed. Like, clearly this is not good. This is a weird dungeon where bad things happen. And he's like bumping them aside, like, oh yeah, he's like measuring the square footage. Like, okay, dude. And again, so this is where the whole body horror stuff goes wrong. I just don't like mutants. Like in movies, like mutants are not really relatable to me. Like, maybe I'm a sucker for like ghosts. I'm a sucker for like paranormal stuff, I guess. Like, that's creepy. As soon as it's like a mutant, it doesn't like, it's a mutant, like it's like a mole person mutant living underground. Living off of what? Like, I mean, they go out, they hunt or something, but they're like super, the mutant is super, it's like an inbred mutant. That's the villain of the movie. And they're like super strong for some reason. And it's like, I guess the movie's not supposed to be realistic, but it's kind of weird with like the earlier dialogue and like the themes of like she's in this bad rough neighborhood and there's this guy like a homeless person chasing her up to the door and she's scared at the one part, and it really starts pretty relatable and realistic, and then it takes this turn where like this is breaking all the previous notions about the movie, how it was being established basically. And then there's this super strong mutant, and then it was alluded to like, oh yeah, and then somebody knows about, like one of the homeless people know about it, and you know, that's not the worst thing there, you know, like that's not the worst, she's not the worst thing in that house either. And it like, that's the guy initially, he was like this weird kind of like serial killer. I don't know the time period exactly, like the 50s or something. He was like this serial killer, you know, SA, like he would break into women's homes and stalk women, kill them, etc., make videotapes, etc., etc. You get where I'm going with this. He was like a sick freak. So it's alluding to him being like the big bad by the character. And right, does every character say something that has to be true? No. Because the characters are fallible. The narrator could be fallible. But you're thinking like, oh, this mutant's like an underling, or she's like scared. She's scared of like the big bad. And the big bad, Jason Long, ends up going into his room. He's coughing. He seems to be sick or whatever. And you get this backstory with him, how he was like this almost like prolific, you know, criminal in like the 50s or whatever time period exactly. Not to sound dumb, I just forget the time period exactly. With the aesthetic. I didn't grow up then. So, I don't know, the 50s-ish, 60s? I don't know. Whatever. 70s? I don't know. And he's like, he sees these videotapes Jason Long puts in a videotape. He's like, what is wrong with you? He's like, the cops are going to be here. But before they say, the cops are going to be here really soon, man. Like, we're going to get you out of here. And then, because the Jason Long's scared of the mutant, right, in the dungeon. But so they clash at one point. He kind of escapes or whatever. And then he's like in this back room. The mutant backs off because this is the big bad. And the big bad's he's just coughing in bed. Like, he's sick. And he says the cops are going to be here, and he ends up just killing himself. He ends up shooting himself in the head. Like, all right. So the big bad of the movie really is the mutant woman, who was like the offspring of this inbred, like whatever, you know what I mean? This guy, I don't know how many generations that could have been, 2 or 3 or something. Like, this guy, this inbred mutant, basically. Immediately, you live in a dungeon and you're inbred 2 or 3 generations, you become an ultra powerful mutant. That's fine, whatever. And the end was like, it was just, I didn't think the end was very strong at all. And then, in a way, it kind of ruined the movie. And then Weapons was another one of these movies that I think it kind of had the gimmick of, it had the gimmick of, sorry, let me get some water. Say another one that's like 3. It was a little better than, I think it was a little better than Barbarian, but it wasn't like phenomenal. Let's see here. What's to say about Weapons? So this is even worse. This is even worse than Barbarian when it comes to And I'll make counterpoints that my friends and even my girlfriend has said. Sorry if it's gross. I'm taking a nicotine patch out of my mouth. So it does the gimmick of, I call it a gimmick. Some people might not call it a gimmick. Maybe it's just a filming style. It's just a style. But I think it's kind of gimmicky because it's gimmicky to me. I don't like it. Let's just say, this is my opinion. I don't like it because the style of going back in a set piece of time in a movie, and we see different characters' perspectives in a time frame to piece together the full picture, the full movie, to me is kind of boring and redundant because in the movie, whether or not you're getting new information, it still feels kind of stagnant to go back to that same period of time. Maybe a couple perspectives really woven together perfectly, like 3 would have been really good. But it was going through and it's yeah, that wasn't the style, so that's fine. It wasn't the style. It went through 6 or 7 different character perspectives, and it's I guess the movie was true in the sense to itself that it really followed the one character in their perspective. So it didn't break the rules in that regard. And to get pieces of information the director wanted you to have, it had to give this other character's perspective. However, I would argue in a more traditional movie, all of this information could have been given to you in a more adventure, the time is moving forward, you are being taken somewhere kind of way, and still giving you, and again, let's just say spoilers on all of these. An example, and this might be an easy example to pad my opinion, my case, but the kid at one point, the classmates all go missing except for one. Everyone blames the teacher in this town. They all go missing. They run out of their houses at a certain time. You see the picture. They all run out of their houses like this, Naruto running to some location. Best part of the movie was the first half, just like Barbarian. I think the director doesn't really know how to end his own movies, to be honest. It's it starts with a good idea, and then it kind of flops near the end. That's why I always give them mid. It could have been really good, and then I just don't like the way that the direction that it's taken. And we keep going back in time, and then we learn, like I was saying, the kid at one point the teacher was like, "You all right? You can tell me something, da 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 da, whatever." And the kid is has this plastic bag of a bunch of soup. And she's kind of "Oh, that's weird." He's walking to his house. I think that was still her perspective, obviously, right? And he has this soup or whatever, and she's like, "Yeah, your parents home? Can I talk to them? Da da da. Are you all right?" And da da da. He's like, "Don't talk." He's like, "Stop following me." Don't talk to me. He goes in the house. It's what's he doing with all this soup? It's weird. And then later on, you realize because we get this great information from going back to 7 different characters that his parents were under the mind control curse of the witch, and he had to feed them soup because they were basically brain dead puppets, essentially, that were controlled by the witch aunt, who, his mom's sister. And this is where this movie, in my opinion, insists upon itself. Peter Griffin insists upon itself. I am saying it kind of comedically, but I do sort of mean it at the same time, where the movie, it establishes these rules for how the witchcraft works with these kids. This is a high magic world, apparently. This is not our world, obviously. This is kind of a suspension of disbelief. This is an alternate reality based on our reality, like all movies are, obviously, right? You watch any horror movie and it's yes, this is based in the real world, but then there's a horror thing happening, and it's you don't see that all the time. But it insists upon itself because it establishes these rules for the witchcraft. And now my girlfriend disagreed with me on this point. And one of the best parts of the movie, I have to preface by saying, one of the best parts of the movie, too, was still this first half. It goes through one of the dad's point of views, and he's, investigating, and I see the kids are moving in this direction. He's drawing lines and stuff, and I'm okay, this is kind of how the preview made the movie look, which was this dark, atmospheric horror, mystery, thriller. Like, I think it's really cool. And you could argue it kind of was, but it was much more of a comedy than it portrayed. It was much more of a comedy than I would have liked. And I don't think the humor holds up upon second watching. Not that I've seen it twice yet, but I don't think it has the type of humor that will hold up in the long run. And it's negative points for me because of that. But the dad's investigating, and it's like, oh, okay. And that was the time in the movie where I was the most invested, the most into it, was when the dad is, and they're moving this way, and he's investigating, and he's like, going around to like different people in the neighborhood, and he's like, can I, if you're comfortable, can I like just watch the footage, and I'm trying to like figure something out, and like kind of a comedy part. The lady's like, I'm not actually comfortable with it. He's like, okay, and then the husband gets home. I think it was Jason Long actually. I always like seeing Jason Long. And he's like, yeah, I was just, and he says the same thing to Jason Long. He's like, yeah, that'd probably be fine. And then the wife is kind of like, she's kind of like mad because she just said, and then it's kind of what's the word? I'm just talking a lot. I can't think of the word. Goes against what she just said, basically. So it's kind of like an ego thing, like hit for her. But that was one of the most interesting parts of the movie. So he's figuring it out, and I think the movie, again, insists upon itself, and like, he's trying to figure out, like, and again, I know characters are fallible. Just because a character says something, this is kind of the same with Barbarian. Just because a character says something or seems to have established something doesn't make it like universally true within the movie. But the movie definitely, it takes this awkward turn, and that's the same thing with Barbarian, in my opinion, where like, it seems to be establishing this mystery, these rules. The kids are going here and figuring things out. But then it's like the next scene, it just gives itself away anyway. So it's like, okay, so the mystery aspect is kind of like, the thriller, horror, mystery aspect is kind of out the window. And it's sort of like, I don't know, like it's like mystery still, but we already know what happened kind of. You pretty quickly understand what happens in this movie. Like you pretty much can outline the whole story very quickly. Like the first 1/3, you'll pretty much guess what happens based on the details they're giving you, these perspectives and stuff. More or less. Like, do you get the full picture of the aunt, and then she's sick, and she's going to use their spirit energy to rejuvenate herself or whatever? No, you don't know exactly, but it's kind of obvious that these kids are being controlled by some evil force. And then they introduce this weird witchy aunt character. She looks really weird. They make her look really, really weird. So you're thinking like, yeah, she's not the protagonist, so she's probably the antagonist. She's too weird looking not to think she's not the antagonist. So right away, as soon as she's introduced, you're like, she's the bad guy. And she's controlling these kids. And what's their main goal? I don't know. I mean, she tries to kill people that get in the way of trying to discover what she's doing. But then she doesn't really do herself any favors because it's so obvious. And I understand they keep going back in the time frame. So it's a limited period of time. I don't know how long, like, some of them seem to are lengthier than others. A day, 2 days, whatever it is, over the course of a few days. This time frame of the characters that keeps going back to different characters, getting their different perspectives. But the aunt moves in with the sister, who's like a long-lost aunt, apparently. This is my problem with it. It's a high magic world, right? So the movie establishes rules. There's rules how these kids work. I know it's taking me forever to say this. I don't know how long this has been going on. I should probably cut this off pretty soon. And if they wrap the hair on the twig and then break it, and then the kid will run like a missile. Like, that's what the guy's like. It's like they're like weapons. They're like a missile. And I get it. This is supposed to be kind of like, I think, an allegory for school violence, whatever. Doesn't make it good. It doesn't make it good if it doesn't work on a surface level. And I've had people tell me it works on a surface level. And in ways it does. In ways it does. If you want to look at surface level, there's a witch that comes to town. She controls these kids. It all seems kind of, I don't know, like inconsequential. It just seems like dumb, like random. Like the antagonist was this dumb, random, high magic force in this kind of like realistic world, this real world, and then all of a sudden this high magic user Dungeons and Dragons character moves into town that can break twigs with hair on them and control anybody in an instant. High magic. She's like a grand sorceress. Like, it's crazy how powerful this woman is in this world, and people aren't aware of magic in this world. There's got to be the witches on brooms flying in front of the moon in this world. Like, it was such a high magic. It was so easy. The magic was so easy to do. Other characters did the magic. I think the kid or the teacher later on. I think the kid did the magic. Oh yeah, I watched her do it. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. I break the twig. I do the hair, whatever. And then he controlled people in the like. It's a high magic world. So, but anyway, my point was, I'm trying to give you the full picture. I'm trying to give you the full point. It's a high magic world, right? And the dad is establishing these rules for these kids and the control. And he said, oh, yeah. And I'm sorry, the movie, I don't know if the dad was specifically. See, now it's been a minute since I've seen it. It's establishing these rules for the magic of, like, you break the switch, and then they run like a missile. They run at you. They run straight at you. Your spirit energy force, your soul. Like, I don't know exactly the mechanism of it. If you want to think of the world as a strictly physical thing, I'm a materialist in that sense. I think everything's... So... Their spirit energy can sense like a radar, like a beacon, and they run to you and they try to kill you almost like a demon zombie any way they can. There was a scene where the one guy was controlled and he's just bashing the guy's head with his headbutting him until he's dead. So like they're like mindless, like the dad established. They're like mindless missiles. They run to you and they try to kill you any means necessary in any way they can. They have just enough cognition just to do their task, right? And then the other rule that was established in the movie, the rule of the way that they're, controlled, is that you can bring them back. You can bring them back to the magic user, to the whatever, the sorceress, the witch, and they'll not retreat, but like they come back to home base. They come back to me. Okay, come back to me. Await further task or whatever. You're going to be idle now, and they're idle. They're like puppets. They're not doing it. They're like barely cognizant at all. They're just puppets, So what was so it's establishing these rules that they have very simple tasks. They're like weapons. They're very simple. They go, they kill, they come back. You give them very simple tasks. It's establishing these rules, and then later on, it's like, what was the hair? You have to braid it first, where you tell them something specific. It's not like the movie ruled out that you can't tell them to do some very specific task. But when the teacher was scoping out the house, which had newspapers all over every window, which was very suspicious, and it seems like neighbors would be very suspicious of that. And I do think it was touched upon that the cops did investigate at one point, where they investigated the home. It is kind of weird that the kid but it's like, it's weird. Then they like they re-windowed it, they re-newspapered it or something. It was just really suspicious. It was the only kid that didn't run away, and his house is a bunch of newspapers all over it. It's weird. So she's scoping out the house, and the mom, the puppet mom, she was controlled at this point with the witchcraft. She comes out, and it's all creepy. It's probably one of the best scenes in the movie because it was the suspense of it, the thrilling suspense of it. And she comes out with scissors. It's really creepy. She's like a creepy, like, mannequin, like, what do you call that? With the strings, the puppets with the strings, mannequins. I don't know if that's with the scissors, and she looks all creepy coming out with the scissors. And it's like, and the teacher doesn't lock her doors. Apparently, she's sipping a vodka soda, something's like, scoping out the house, and then she ends up falling asleep. Someone opens her car door. The car doors aren't locked as she's on this like creepy scope out mission of this kid's house. She seems like things are eerie, things are not right, but she doesn't lock her doors. Gets in the car, doesn't notice. The woman gets in the car, has the scissors and goes, and then snips her hair, and then gets out of the car and goes back to the house with the hair to give it to the witch. So the controlled woman, the puppet woman, obviously didn't think to do that. The witch ordered her to do it, but like the tasks previously kind of seemed like they were very simple tasks, and then all of a sudden the witch is apparently peering out the window and is like, oh, this person's scoping on the house. I think that might be the teacher. She's going to be trouble for me. Oh, go out and get a block of her hair so I can, fuck with her later, or control her later, or kill her later. I forget, you needed to control people, you needed their hair, but then to kill people, you needed their hair or something. So why didn't she just control the teacher? She's saving the hair to kill her later if she was too much trouble or something. Why not just kill her then? And I've had the argument that people have made the point like, oh, it'd be too suspicious. She was scoping out the house and like kind of in front of the house. I mean, she was like down the street. I don't know, like, it was too suspicious just to stick scissors in her throat then. She had to get the hair to like prolong this for later so she could kill her, like, not control her. It seems like she had everything she needed to control her too, right? But instead, she's just going to try to kill her later at an opportune, strategic time when she's away from the house. Yeah, I don't know, like, whatever. Sorry, I'm not really getting caught tired talking about it. It's just weird, I just thought it was just weird, It was a very complex task. The witch whispers in her ear, so she does like some other kind of thing. Before they were simple tasks, then she does the super ultra magic to tell her a specific thing to go out there and take these scissors and snip her hair and bring it back to me. All right. In the end, like, the jokes were, like, they were pretty funny out of, like, left field. Like, the cop scene was pretty funny. But it wasn't really, like, good. I'm telling you, it's not going to be good, really, on, like, a rewatch where he's like, hey, if I put my hands in your pocket, nothing's going to poke me, right? So nothing's going to stick me. And he's like, yeah, no, nothing. I don't have anything. He's like, you're telling me if I put my hands in your pocket, I'm not going to get stuck with anything, right? No, and then he does, and there's like a heroin needle or whatever, and the cop gets, like, you can see the frustration on his face, like this dumbass, he gets really mad, and he just, like, sucker punches him. And, like, yeah, the audience, like, it was kind of funny, but, like, how well is that joke gonna hold up? Same thing with, like, the end when they're in the house, it's the dad and the teacher, and they're finally in the house at the end with the antagonist and the controlled people. And the one guy keeps attacking him, and he's like, oh, man, give me a break. He keeps attacking him, he keeps throwing him over the table or whatever, and then everything's quiet. And he's like, oh. And then he just kind of leaps up again, the controlled person, the puppet person, leaps up again. Ah! And he's like, oh, give me a break. And then he, like, throws him again. And that happens, like, 3-4 times. And it's like, there's an argument for comedy and repetition, and, like, I see the comedy in it. I thought it was kind of funny, but like on a rewatch, I don't think it's like, it happens. It's not. It's like a one-time. It's too much. Like, this is like a one-time watch. I felt like that with the whole movie. But if you go into it knowing nothing, I think it's an interesting, good enough watch. It's not an awful movie. But it's like a one-time watch movie. It's not something I want to rewatch every year or every other year. Like, oh, it's our yearly weapons watch, I don't think the jokes really hold up. And same thing with the end. It ended basically on a fart joke, in my opinion, which it almost kind of reminds me of Barbarian. The end was like, what was the end again? So the kid, then, the young boy from the class, he turns on the witch, and because she's dangling shit over his head, like his parents getting hurt, he's getting, bullied by her, basically. He's scared. It kind of makes sense that he's being kind of compliant in the situation. And the end, he eventually turns all the kids against the witch. So the contrast of them trampling through yards, chasing her like zombie demons. They're hopping over fences. They're smashing through windows. They're smashing through fences. And then it goes to the really weird looking lady. It's like she looks goofy on purpose in this movie. She looks very odd. And she's going, ah, like running through the yards. And then it goes back to the kids, like, they're trampling, and there's a guy mowing his grass, and they're, like, trampling by this guy, and he's like, huh? And then it goes back to the witch, and she's, ah! And and I get it. And again, it's comedy through the contrast of the intensity and the kind of comical, goofy-looking character going. I understand why it's funny, and I thought it was kind of funny too, but I don't think it's like a rewatchable joke. And it was very much a one-time watch for me. So yeah, it was kind of, the audience chuckled. They go, oh, you know, like the whole, and same with me. Like we're watching. And then it kind of got old after the third or fourth time, and I understand the merits of comedy through repetition, I do, but you know, I think the joke kind of got old, and it's like, all right, can we let's just end the movie now, I guess. This was, and then they literally rip the woman apart, they rip her limbs off, and then the kid narrator, which started in the film too, I think maybe throughout the film, I forget exactly, it definitely had a heavy hand in the start of the child narrator, and then it's like a fairy tale. It was established kind of like a fairy tale, and then all the kids went missing, and everyone blamed the teacher, and da da da. It was like a dark fairy tale, and in the end, it ended the same way. Where and then all the kids are, and some took months to start talking again, and some were da da da, and some maybe never would talk again, or something like that. I forget. And it's like, that's basically what I felt like, almost like a Disney movie ending, like, the end. And it's like, all right. It was kind of anticlimactic in a way. And, yeah, it was okay. I didn't, like, absolutely, like, hate it. The thing I'll say that I hated about it is I hate that this, in my opinion, was, it's overrated. It's an overrated movie. Then again, I guess I'm not feeling this director's style at this point. It's pretty established for me that I'm not really feeling his style with these two movies. They were both fine. They were okay. They were middle of the road movies for me. And at the end, it's just I couldn't really get past that this woman. It just doesn't even make sense. Your aunt's coming. She's sick, and she's coming. Your long lost aunt is sick, and she's coming to stay with us. Your aunt where was she before? Like, give me some kind of satisfying backstory. It doesn't need it. The movies don't need to explain it. It's just the suspension of disbelief, right? Like this high magic, like literally like a video game character. This high magic user, this sorceress, this high magic, very powerful witch comes from where? Like Africa, South Africa. Where is she from? She was in the jungle. Where was she previously? Canada? Where is she from? Where is she learning this witchcraft shit? Like, where is witchcraft again? Where's like the hoodoo, voodoo shit? I forget. Am I dumb? I forget exactly where that's practiced. Where did she learn? And I'll admit, all you need is a goddamn stick and some hair. It seems like everybody be doing magic. And then my friend brought up the point, well, it was like a special tree that she was trimming, and the kid was observing her. To be fair enough, I did miss that. It was a special plant or tree or whatever. Where does it come from? What tree? Can't you order it? You know what I mean? Like, you can order a lot of things online. It seems like there'd be more witches ordering the special tree, and if it's this easy, it would be more known and more apparent that this is a high magic world where apparently only one person does magic, but and everyone's doing magic, right? And it's exaggeration, right? It's exaggeration. The kid does the magic because he observes her, and then he learns how to tie hair around a stick and dump it in water. Dump it in sink water in a bowl. Like, it's too easy to do the math. There's not a lot of these movies that have this, like, that's the thing. A lot of these movies that have like the witchcraft stuff and like the supernatural stuff, it's like you see all these candles and like the blood and there's like a skull and like it seems so much more legit. Is that superficial of me to say? It seems more legit. It seems more like dark, mysterious, witchy, like cool pagan shit, symbols and salts and blood and in this movie it's like you wrap some hair around a stick and you dump it in sink water. You dump it in toilet water. You can dump it in a toilet bowl for you know, fuck's sake. So I don't know. It's just like I don't get, like, we're comfortable enough with this woman to stay with us, but she's like essentially not part of this world at all. Like she's not even part of this movie universe. Like that even makes any sense. She's not part of my life at all. She's not part of this world at all. But then she's in contact with me. She calls me on my cell phone, basically. I don't know exactly how this. She emailed her from, you know. I don't want to seem like racist by saying random fucking shit. But she comes from where? Like Zimbabwe? Like where does she come from? She learned some witchcraft shit. And she calls the mom and, oh, hey, I'm really sick. Can I stay with you guys for a while? Okay, your aunt's staying with us for a while. I don't even know her at all. Her aunt, that's her sister, I think. His aunt, I'm sorry, his aunt. Her sister, she doesn't know her sister is off doing witchcraft and blah, 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 God knows where land. It's not bad because it's like every movie in a way is unrealistic. You have to, again, the suspension of disbelief, I get it, but it's like, be consistent, like maintain consistency in the world, right? Like Conjuring, as most people say, oh, this is an overrated series, people, and it started pretty good, right? Like, yeah, it was a solid, it was a solid, what, like 3.5? I don't know, like, it's pretty good. 3.6, maybe I'll give it a 4, who knows? 4 is solid. Some of them are better than others. I didn't think the second was very good. First one was pretty good. I thought the last was good, but the last, I'll say this, the last leaned into, excuse me, the last leaned into the world. See, I gave it a pretty good review. There we go, 3.5. Was the first better than that? Not. Let's give the first 3 too. Then I think I already give the first one 3. 3.5. Oh, okay, yeah. No, we'll give that a 3.5 too. And right, this movie is just like people are like, I don't know about Conjuring 2.8, which is still it's an okay review. It's a solid rating, I guess. For a horror movie, horror is always like worse than everything else. But then the intellectual horror that it makes people feel smarter is always like 3 point whatever, like Weapons or I'm not trying to insult people. I have friends that liked those movies a lot, so hopefully they don't watch this and they're not insulted by it. I think when movies have more gimmicks of like we go back in time and different timelines and it's like a gimmick that really gets people to think it's better than it is. And this movie is like, yes, it's more of a hokey, high magic universe, but it's like at least it remains consistent of like, this is just, it's a fun popcorn paranormal flick. It has scenes that are hilarious, like it has scenes that are funny, like it has good like jump scares, like it has good suspense scenes. Like was that shadow? Like was there a hand behind the thing? The hand behind the thing, right? Here's the last point I'll make. The hand behind the thing. There's a hand behind a thing. That's a horror movie trope, right? Oh, it's done to death. It's a horror movie trope. There's reasons why there's horror movie tropes. There's reasons why they put, and my girlfriend could attest to this. I don't understand why, but some people are like really scared of rodent noises and rats and stuff, and there's a reason why there's rats in these movies a lot. There's hands behind doors. There's dark, scary witch hands, demon hands behind doors because people have a natural fear of the unknown, and you get too much off the tropes. You get too much off the formula, and it becomes like, and obviously it's an extreme example, but you have two characters kissing under the Eiffel Tower, and pretty soon it's like, I can't really call that horror anymore. It's more like this experimental comedy thrill. Like, I don't even know what to call some of these movies now that are coming out, because it's like, is Barbarian a horror? Yeah, sure. And it's laden with a lot of blatant like comedy too, and same thing with I think Weapons had like several blatant comedy scenes in it. Not that this didn't have any little social comedy scenes with like the daughter's boyfriend, and it's kind of awkward. She's meeting the parents, and yes, there's the social scenes that obviously like they're human, right? Like, but even the end, it's like they're pushing back this evil mirror, and then there's like the demon selves of them, like the demon, the evil entity is like creating these alternate demon thems, and it's like it's Ed and Lorraine Warren, but they're like, it's funny, and they're like, rah! And they're like hissing at them in the mirror as they're like holding back the mirror, and yeah, it's corny, it's funny, but I feel like as a popcorn flick horror, I'm not trying to take away from the movie though, because it still has good suspense, it has good jump scares, and it has a lot of tropes, it has a lot of, I guess, recycled things from horror, but it doesn't mean you can't keep doing these things better. It doesn't mean you can't perfect the formula. And did this am I claiming that this perfected the formula, Conjuring Last Rites? Not necessarily, but I thought it was a very solid popcorn horror flick. And I guess it's just like an opinion of like what you're trying to watch. If you want to watch something different, yes, watch Weapons. Watch I'd argue like, I'd argue Bring Her Back wasn't even that different. It was actually stereotypical like A24 edgy, like no heroes win in the end, like psychological torture. It wasn't really anything too new. I think Barbarian was like, it was interesting. I'll give it that. It was different. It was interesting. Weapons was different. It was interesting. It did something a little bit new. It wasn't just pure tropes and whatever. So it depends what you're looking for in movies. But I tend to like the more traditional horrors, to be honest. If you want to be different, that's why I brought up the other movies. If you want to watch something different that's kind of like a horror, you want something that gives you anxiety, you want something that feels like this is like being like your spooky high. This is, and I don't smoke weed anymore, right? I smoked when I was younger more, but this is like, I got too high. I smoked too much weed and I am too high, and this basically, almost like this whole movie gives you that feeling. And it's not about him getting too high, although people have read into the story and he was living in like a rehab apartment. So there's stuff to read into with this movie, with the meanings of it and everything. But it wasn't about him being high, but like the movie gives you that feeling, that anxiety of just like, I just feel like I'm like too high right now. Like this, if you want to watch something different, that will give you a little like psychological like, fear, some kind of like, this is almost like a better, interesting horror to me, even though I don't think this is like, it's not really, this isn't, I don't think like a traditional like horror, comedy, fantasy, adventure. See, comedy, fantasy, adventure, but in a way, this is kind of like horror-esque. And same thing with, you watch like a different horror, another one I thought was really good. The other one by the director, Eddington, I thought was pretty good. I think this one was a little better. I think Eddington was also really good. If you want to watch a different, I'm thinking of Ending Things, I think was really good. If you want to watch something really like out of the box, not the same old tropes, I think that was pretty good. And I guess quick shout out too, which I don't think I even rated this that high, 3. It let me down a little bit. I think this is like the same rating I gave Weapons. Although I feel like I kind of respect this movie more than Weapons, to be honest, because this really kind of leaned into the artsy, like, just the artsy, weird, kind of like abstract type route. It had the theme of, who knows what it had been a while since I've seen it, so you keep seeing the same man everywhere, basically, and it gets in this really weird, and I liked it because it gets in this really weird psychological, like, again, I don't want to just keep using the term psychosexual, but like this psychology like undertone of like it definitely had to do with men and women on like some kind of psychology level, or like, dare I even say, spiritual level, with like the religious, like the statue it shows in the church, and like how the man keeps coming back. The theme of the man is like nude at one point, and I don't know. See, I'm gonna sound dumb talking about this because I need to rewatch it. But I remember this being like one of those movies that's really hard to describe, but it gives you that kind of like contemplative feeling where you're like, oh, this is definitely something different. This is like trippy and like weird. It could have been really, really fantastic. This could have been like a 4+, like 8 out of 10, 4+ for me. I just feel like I wanted a little bit more from this when it came to, I don't know, the story or whatever. It was like an art film, but this is like horror, like art horror. And I guess Weapons wasn't really like art horror. I guess I don't know. And the Barbarian, it wasn't necessarily like art horror. It was like horror that was trying to be different. And it tries to break tropes, but in the end, I think tropes actually kind of are important. It's like, think of like, and I'm a gamer, right? Like I play a lot of games, and I like talking about stuff, with gaming in mind, like whether a card game, solving a game or whatever. I think perfecting something, there's definitely like merit to perfecting something, and the whole thing of like, what is copying, what is the moral or ethical, everything's a copy of a copy, I mean, your personality in a lot of ways is a copy of a copy of a copy. You were raised by your parents and your peers interacted with you. And I'm just saying, like, I think horror movie tropes, whether or not people seem to find them played out, is like you're never really in real life going to play out what horror is to people. So in a movie form, it's like if it's not your thing, it's not your thing, you know. And I guess it can be played out if I exposure therapy with myself with stinging, biting bugs, because that's one of my things. If I stick my arm in a tank with a bunch of hornets and horse flies and just disgusting bugs that are gonna sting and bite my arm, yeah, I could probably be less scared of like with this exposure therapy. But I'm saying I think like the snake, the fear of the unknown, the hand behind the door, whatever it is, and these people go, oh, it's so played out, but it's like that's what people are naturally like scared of. So I don't know. With movies, you know, I think people can keep perfecting it. And sorry, going back to the game thing, I know I'm kind of scatterbrained. Think of the game you like the most. Would you really be upset? Think of the game you like the most. Let's take like I think the original like Diablo 2. I think was a really good game. I'm pretty into action RPGs. Some people like Halo. Some people like Call of Duty. Some people like a racing game. Some people like a fighting game. Picture that game. Picture a game that you found to be perfect. You think this is almost a perfect game. This is such a good game. It's timeless. I can play this 5 years later, 10 years later. It's such a good game. Picture that game now perfected, right? And maybe you think it's perfect already, but picture that game now with, more weapons, more character skins. Oh, there's a point where it gets goofy though. We got Garfield running around, right? But like in a way that is what would you say? In a way that's considerate to the game, you know? Because I know COD got kind of ridiculous. You have Snoop Dogg running around and Family Guy characters or whatever. But picture that game with everything you love, just more of it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I view the whole rehashing of the same tropes and ideas. And it's like, just because it's done once doesn't mean somebody can't do it again, but better. You know, I don't have a huge issue with people going like, you know, you have a guy shooting in a video game. Is it copying Halo? Is everything copying Halo? Because there's a first-person game with a gun. Or what was the first one? Doom or whatever. You could trace it back to the very first thing, and then you could go, well, let's put a copyright on that. You can never make a game that has the hands in front with a gun. And that's the same thing with horror movies, in my opinion. Yes, use the hand behind the door again. Use the dark flickering light and the creepy noise. And I don't know, like, just make it more, make it better, you know, make the shots better, make it, whether it's a higher budget or not, make it like more mindfully done, you know what I mean? Better pacing, better, you know, contrast between the suspense and the relief. You know, a lot of people say that's the suspense, that's the thrilling aspect of it. Make the contrast good, you know what I mean? So there's always something to make better. Right? We made a car, we should never make a car again. Well, we can make the car have better gas mileage, and we can make the car be more aerodynamic, and we can make and then cars, hopefully you can make the argument they're not getting better and better at this point. Maybe they're getting cheaper now. I don't know. The point is you can make the car better and better. Right? And you can make the horror movie better and better. That's essentially, oh, this is just like that horror movie. This is just like, well, this car is just like that car, you know? So that's kind of my point with it. A lot of rambling. Probably talked for, was this an hour? Hour and a half? Long video. All right, that's it.